This is How to Build Your Website, Part 4, brought to you by the SBDC.
We're going to start to talk a little about your content and reasons people want to buy from you. And I'm going to start in an unlikely place, and that's your return policy. And an e-commerce company's return policy, it's essentially one of your first marketing tools. When a potential customer is making a purchase decision, especially if it's a large purchase, your return policy can be the deciding factor whether or not they're going to put their credit card number in or not. I know that doesn't seem like the thing that people are looking for, that they may be looking at the features and looking at the price, but the return policy, and I'll show you some stats on the next page, is a huge factor in people's thoughts here. It's even more important if you're not competing on price. If your products are not unique and the prices are the same as your competitors, then it's a way for you to help you to stand out. Think about companies like IKEA, where they give you the 365-day no-nonsense return policy. Obviously, you've got to have the receipt and bring back the full product. Casper, giving you 100 nights to sleep on the mattress before you have to return it. And then Zappos, they enjoy rapid returns and refunds. These things not only tell people how you're going to treat them, but how the process is going to work. They help instill confidence. They help you project the confidence that you have in your brand. So people understand that, hey, I'm so confident in my product that you're going to love it. I'm going to let you have it for 100 nights before you have to return it. And it lets people feel good, lets people know that they're not just, dealing with a fly-by-night company, and that, you're somebody really standing behind this. So 68% of shoppers, and this is from UPS, so we're not just pulling this out of the air, check a store's return policy before purchasing. Refunds, returns, exchanges, they're all part of doing business. Customers can be unsatisfied with your product or your experience for any number of reasons. The top ones are your product's been damaged. They ordered the wrong size. It happens a lot with clothing. There's ways to mitigate these things, but these are the ones coming in at number 1 and 2 and 3. And then the last one is the product didn't meet their expectations. And, we'll talk a little bit about that, and, how to adjust some things on that as we get into photos and content. But there's, having returns, having exchanges, it's not ideal for us as business owners, but it's part of the e-commerce experience. So when we're looking at this, we want to do some things with our return policy to make it our own and make it important. So when thinking about this, take a look at your store. Think about what items can be returned. Which ones are you going to accept returns on? What items can be exchanged? What products are final sales, non-refundable, non-exchangeable? And even on those, thinking about ways that you're going to take refunds. So, for example, the mattresses we talked about, legally you can't return a mattress. So all of these companies, when they're giving you the 100-night, 150-night, whatever warranties on them, if you do happen to return them, they give you their money back, and they actually will arrange the Salvation Army or someone else like that to come pick up the mattress, because you're not allowed to take a mattress back and resell it. Same toothbrush example I gave you, we had that. Obviously, I'm not going to take a toothbrush back and resell it. That's just not a really good way of doing business. But if there was an unsealed box, nothing had been opened, we might consider it. Think about how long of a window you're going to give customers to return: 30, 60, 90 days. In what condition can the items be returned? And then, how does the return policy work? So you don't want to make it difficult for someone to return a product. You don't want people to be, harassing you, finding you, on social media and talking on there about returning a product. You want to make the process smooth. You want to make it easy. Is it, an email that you provide, a phone number? Is there a form on your website? Make it clear, make it easy for them to get to, because the alternative is, you wind up with bad reviews or bad comments on social media that you really don't, you don't want to see. So keeping those things in mind, the return policy, I want it to be a tangible place where your brand promise can start to shine through and have an impact on your customers and your conversion rate. Is there a question?
Yes, we do have a question. We had a question earlier about perishable products in terms of food, and my answer was you may want to look into what your competitors are doing. And
Mhm.
the perishable food, the answer might be non-refundable, but also you want to be able to be competitive. So looking at what your competition is offering or not offering could help in that decision making. The other piece of it, Chris, we do have a question about how do you feel or what about return policies for ebooks? Digital downloads.
Well, that's interesting. I've never had a digital download company, but my experience with that would say this: if you're an ebook company, you are more than likely wanting people to get access to more than one, and there's an experience that you want to keep, and there's an experience you want to share. I know on Audible, if I'm listening to a book and I don't like it, I can return the book, and that negates my access to it, and gives me my credit refund back. At the same time, I don't know if that guarantees that I didn't download the file to iTunes and then zip it out and make it my own, MP3 that I can play later. Maybe it's MP4 now, but you can't gear your policy to the worst common denominator, so to speak. You have to gear your policy towards helping honest people be able to, conduct business and want to come back to you. I would think there's a way to make them returnable. I would just, take a look at it and try and figure, if it's something you can actually take back. I mean, obviously, if you're granting access, you can take the access back. But if you're giving people the ability to actually download a PDF, you got to consider how your business works and what a return is going to look like for you on that. So the next little piece of content that all goes up on our websites that we're not, that we don't think of as being that kind of key place is having a privacy policy. So also known as a privacy statement or a declaration. Privacy policy is that statement that explains how we as a company are going to collect, handle, store, and share the information from our customers. This information, it's sensitive. It's their email addresses, it's their physical addresses, it's their phone numbers. And we want to make sure they know that we're keeping that safe and in a secure way, which again goes back to some of those website platforms where they have those safeguards in place to make sure that happens. So why do you need a security policy? First of all, it's required by law. In the United States, Canada, European Union, Australia, and many other places around the world. In addition, e-commerce store owners need to both limit their risk as well as manage the expectations of their customers to avoid any misunderstandings. Providing this policy, it helps build trust with your customers. Like I said, you're collecting their personal data. For obvious reasons, many of them want to know that that data is in safe hands, that it's in a private area, it's not accessible to the world, and it's letting you demonstrate your commitment to keeping things safe. You also need a privacy policy to use certain applications, so like Google Analytics, AdSense. They require you to have a privacy policy and keep it up to date. So if you're planning on having an online store and you're going to do some advertising with it, you're going to want to make sure the privacy policy is in there so that you can leverage the most common tools to get the word out about you. Finally, it's in there for your legal protection. So, God forbid, on an e-commerce site, you get sued, you can show that you had privacies in place and measures in place, that the customer knew what they were getting into when they provided information. How do we develop a privacy policy? So include it with a lot of your web platforms. There's going to be a template that you can add in, and I'll just let me log in here real quick and I'll show you one of those. That's not where I want to be. That's where I want to be. So this, for example, you log into, this is the back end of Shopify. You would go into settings. There's a little button there that says legal. And this exists for most policies in these platforms, be it refund policies, privacy policies, terms and conditions, shipping policies. You would literally come into privacy policy. There's nothing here. and you would hit replace with template. And it would provide you a template that you would go in and you would notice everything that needs to be edited is like that. You would go in and edit it and make it your own. Now, if you're doing business that's outside of, kind of the normal customer pays, I ship, customer gets tracking number, you may want to consult with your attorney to make sure that that's, you've got everything on the up and up on how to do that. The other place, obviously, you can consult with an attorney and they can help you write a privacy policy for you. And then the last piece, if you're getting into a little bit more detail, you can go to places online like e-commerce guide, Rocket Lawyer, form templates, term feed. There's a whole mess load of them that will assist you in walking you through the creation of a privacy policy that's, tailored to your business. And, just one here, you can watch the video if you want. You generate the privacy policy. It's going to start asking you what it's for. And they've all got a walkthrough. You literally start putting information in. Now, ironically, it's a privacy policy, so they've put this up as a lead generation tool for them to collect your information. But, there are tools there that can tailor things to your business that can help you, load things out in a good way for yourself. So
Chris, with that, we have a couple of questions. Just as a reminder, everyone who signed up for this session will be receiving a link to the recording, for this material. And we have a quick question, and I know you're big on customer service, Chris, so I'll let you handle this one. Going back to return policy on customized products, do you recommend to have a return policy for customized products?
Whether you're accepting the return or not, you should have the return policy so they know what they're getting into ahead of time. So, like example, if you're doing custom T-shirts that you're, embroidering with people's logos, initials, or names, yeah, if you don't want to take those back because there's no way in the world you can sell those, it makes sense to be able to say, all sales are final on these. Obviously with the exception of you did the artwork wrong, the embroidery came loose, something like that. But you still want to have the policy there. You want to have it in your footer. You want to have it, even at the bottom of your cart page so people can access it and know ahead of time what they're getting into. Because while you may make the sale with it not being there, the customer service, the back and forth, the possibly paying to have it shipped back to you, all of the headache and time that goes in with that may not equate to the value of you holding on to that sale. So, and again, we're trying to do e-commerce businesses not so that we can be a one-trick pony. We want people to build a relationship with us and come back and refer their friends. So by giving a customer a good experience, they're more apt to refer their friends or come back to you for another product. Again, it's not always about, hey, you got to give away the world with your returns. And then that's not what I'm saying. It's make it clear to the customer what the process is and if you're going to take it back or not from the beginning. Not taking it back doesn't say, oh, I'm not going to buy it because they don't take it back. It just lets me have my expectations going forward. All right. So, yeah. The data would be, I'm reading a question. It says, if you use an e-commerce platform, say Shopify, where will the customer's data be saved? Shopify server, who is responsible for the privacy of the customer? The answer is both. Shopify and you are responsible for the privacy of the customer. The data is saved on their platform, and for the cybersecurity portion of it, yes, they're responsible, but you have the ability to download that data. You have the ability to share that data out with, say, your email host or your email marketing system. Each time you download it, each time you transfer it, you as a business are responsible for that data as well. Now, speaking of security, goal, here we want you to make sure that your service is secure. One of the reasons we're talking about these platforms is it's a quick way to make sure your data is up and safe instead of you having to go out and find the different hosting solutions, different security solutions, et cetera, which I'm not saying you can't do. But you want you to make sure you have a secure e-commerce platform to keep your customers' data safe. So a couple quick tricks to making sure you do that. as a lot of these platforms will allow you to, integrate a dual authentication feature, which lets you, the thing where you put in your name and your password, and the first thing it does, it sends you a text message or an email back so you can put in a code. Also, make sure you're using passwords for you as the account owner that are 8+ characters, include numbers, include special characters, so that it, makes it more difficult for people to get in that aren't supposed to be there. We're going to provide you with some resources to read deeper into this. On the page there, you can see a button that says Download HubSpot Cybersecurity Guide PDF. That is a very detailed post on how to make sure things are safe and secured from an e-commerce perspective that we thought if we got into, it would probably take us a lot further than we wanted to go. So with these things in mind, I want to talk about the rest of the content that's on your site. So obviously, we're going to include a return policy and a returns and refund policy. I would also encourage you to include a shipping policy, again, because we want to set, customers' expectations of when they're going to get their product. So if it takes us 3 days to get it packaged and shipped and another 5 days for it to deliver, let the customer know that, it'll be to them in 8 to 10 days. Don't, just think about the shipping time, think about your time to fulfill it. Also, if there's terms and conditions specific, to your page, a lot of those platforms, again, will, give you information on how to do that. You want to have some, about us statements that convey your brand story and clearly communicate the why behind your brand, and, talk about any, corporate good or cause marketing that you're doing, and a contact page. A contact page and a customer service page, so customers can get back in touch with you. They know, when you're open, they can answer some frequently asked questions and all that. But when I'm talking about content, what I really want to talk about is those things that are going to get people to look at your site and make the decision that I want to know more, that I want to look into your product or your service, and then I want to make a purchase. So in figuring out what we want that content to be, I had a general idea of what I would tell you it is, but, I don't want to just give you my opinion the whole time. So I went out and did some looking, and I looked at a few different places that had some really good articles and lists on these things. And they were BigCommerce, which again is an e-commerce platform we went over, Blue Scout, which is an e-commerce agency, the Neil Patel Group, which specializes in SEO and marketing, and then this VWO company, who's actually an optimization platform. So their whole business is centered around making tweaks to your website and your ad program so that you get the highest conversion rate. And if you notice that you look through there, the first piece of content that is there on all but actually even on the Neil Patel one, it's the first tangible piece of content, is images, product images, awesome product images, and big, clear images. So when I'm talking about content, the first thing I want to tell you is make sure you have good product photography. So 90% of the information that our brain captures is visual. So no matter how sophisticated, we think our website customers are, they're going to engage with us first on the visual and then dive into the written copy. In other words, if they like the photo on the left, they're going to say, let me look over to the right and read and see what I'm looking at. Photos are a key part of the customer's decision-making process, and they ultimately are going to help determine our conversion and/or retention rates. And the quality of our product photo, it's reflective of who we are as a brand, and it is what is creating that infamous first impression. Remember when we're walking down the hallway at the mall there, and we look over to the right and see the store we want to go into? Well, that photo is our storefront on our .com that's letting people want to take a closer look. So we want our photos, in making that first impression, to present a polished, professional image, and we want that photo to evoke maximum engagement. Customers, they're looking for time-saving things, the shortcuts. People don't read anymore. They don't read until they're interested. So the quickest way for them to gather the most information possible is either, quick look at an image or, sometimes a video. So product images, they don't only testify to the quality of your product, but they serve as a window into your store.
That completes section number 4. Please continue to section number 5 to learn more about how to build your website.